Students, Assalamu alaikum. Our today's lesson for discussion is we are not afraid to die if we can all be together. This is lesson number second of the text Hornbill Clause 11th. It is written by Gordon Cook and Alan East. And let me give you a brief introduction about the lesson, that is, we are not afraid to die if we can all be together. Dear students, we are not afraid to die is a first person account of an adventurous ordeal that a family experiences. On July 1976, the narrator set all sail from England. He wanted to duplicate the round the world voyage made 200 years earlier by Captain Cook. On January 2, huge waves shook the deck and broke over the ship. They had survived for 15 hours, but it was quite difficult to reach Australia. At about 6 p.m. on January, they anchored offshore at Tiny Island, where all the 28 inhabitants came to cheer them. This was a brief introduction about the lesson, that is, we are not afraid to die if we can all be together. Now let us start. Page 13, para first. In July 1976, my wife Mary, son Jonathan, 6, daughter Susanne, 7, and I set sail from Plymouth, England, to duplicate the round the world voyage made 200 years by Captain James Cook. जुलाई 1976 में मैं और मेरी वाइफ मैरी, मेरा जो सन है जोनाथन जिसकी उम्र 6 है, डॉटर सुजानी जिसकी उम्र 7 है, एंड आई सेट सेल फ्राम प्लाईमाउथ, हमने सफ़र किया, समंदरी सफ़र किया जहाज़ में, एंड हमने स्टार्ट किया प्लाईमाउथ जो इंग्लैंड में है, टू डुप्लीकेट द राउंड वॉयज मेड 200 years अर्लियर बाय कैप्टन जेम्स कुक. उसी तरह उस वॉयज को फॉलो करें, to have the same, that means the identical voyage which was made before 200 years by Captain James Cook. जो कैप्टन जेम्स कुक ने 200 साल पहले इस सफ़र किया था, उसी सफ़र का हम डुप्लिकेट करना चाहते थे. To have the identical voyage. For the longest time, Mary and I, a 30-year-old businessman, Mary, मैं और 37-old businessman, हमने स्टार्ट किया, हमने अपने ये ख्वाब शर्मंद ताबीर करना चाहा, यानी हमने ये चाहा कि हम इसी तरह का सफ़र करें, और इसके लिए हम मेहनत कर रहे थे. For the longest time, Mary and I, 36-year-old businessman, had dreamed of sailing the wake of the famous explorer. And for the past 16 years, we had spent all our leisure time. और हमने 16 साल से यही इसी काम पे अपना वक्त लगाया ज़्यादा. To spend our leisure time. To spend our leisure time means time. Leisure time here means time spent in doing what we enjoy. So इस leisure time को हमने इसी में सफ़र किया. Honing our seafaring skills, ताकि हम ये जो honing our seafaring skills means the act or the practice of traveling the seas, जो traveling of the seas, इसी पर हमने leisure time सर्फ किया. In British waters, कहाँ पे British waters में, our boat wave walker, हमारा जो बोट था, शिप था, उसका नेम था wave walker means actually the name of a ship. It was actually 23 meter 30-ton wooden hull उसकी जो आउटर बॉडी थी दैट वाज वुडन 30-ton wooden hulled beauty had been professionally built that has been professionally built. That means that was well that was built by the well-trained persons, and we had spent months fitting it out and testing it in the roughest weather we could find. और हमने इसको मंथ्स लगाई किसके लिए फिटिंग इट आउट इसको ठीक तरह से फिट किया एंड टेस्टिंग इट इन द रफेस्ट वेदर वी कैन फाइंड और हमने इसको टेस्ट किया द मोस्ट होस्टाइल वेदर में हमने इसको टेस्ट किया ताकि हम इसको ठीक तरह से जांच लें. सो यहाँ पे कुछ वर्ड्स हैं. नंबर वर्ड वॉयेज है. वॉयेज मीन्स ए लॉन्ग जर्नी. यहाँ पे एक वर्ड है वॉयेज मीन्स ए लॉन्ग जर्नी बाय सी और स्पेस. लेजर मीन्स फ्री टाइम. जिस तरह मैंने लेजर अभी यहाँ पे एक्सप्लेन किया ए टाइम स्पेंट इन डूइंग what we enjoy. So voyage here means a long journey by sea or space. और एक वर्ड है हमारे पास leisure. That leisure means free time. और free time here means time spent in doing what we enjoy. Honing means sharpen or improving. Seafaring means regularly traveling by seas. Honing our seafaring skill here means improving the skills required to travel by sea. So wooden hulled means a watertight body of a ship. Let me explain this para again. The writer, who is 37 years old businessman, along with his wife Mary and two children, Jonathan, the age of one is 6 years, and Susanne, the age of second that is 7 years, went on a voyage on their ship in July 1976, right? They started from Plymouth, England. They started actually their voyage from Plymouth, England. They wanted to complete the sea trip around the world just like the one that had been completed 200 years ago by the famous Captain James Cook, right? The narrator and his wife spent 16 years improving their seafaring skills, actually improving their skills. They got a ship they built it professionally, which was 23-meter long, 30 ton heavy wooden hull called wave walker. This ship of theirs was called a wave walker. They took several months to test it in the roughest of the weathers. Now the first leg the first leg of our planet the first leg of our planet the first leg of our planet 3 year 1,05,000 kilometers journey passed pleasantly as we sailed down the west coast of the Africa to Cape Town. There, before east, heading east, we took on two crewmen, American Larry Vigil and Swiss Herb Schiesler, to help us tackle one of the world's roughest sea, the Southern Indian Ocean. So writer here says the first leg of our planet 3 year the first leg of our planet 3 year 1,05,000 kilometer journey passed pleasantly. That means the first segment, the first leg here means the first segment, the first part of our planet 3 year जो हमने प्लान किया था 3 year का 1,05,000 किलोमीटर जर्नी पास प्लीजेंटली, बड़ी खुश असलूबी से ये पास हो गया. हमने इसको ठीक तरह से ठीक ढंग से कंप्लीट किया. एज वी सेल डाउन द वेस्ट कोस्ट, तो when we sailed down the west coast of Africa to Cape Town. Therefore, heading east, therefore moving towards the east, we took on two crewmen. हमने दो आदमियों को यहाँ पे लगाया. We took on two crewmen. That means we take the help from two crewmen. Two crewmen here means man working at the ship. वो इंसान जो शिप पे काम करते होंगे, तो उन्हीं को हमने हायर किया. So one was American Larry Vigil, and the another was Swiss Herb Sizzler, to help us to tackle one of the world's toughest sea, ताकि वो हमें हेल्प करे, so that they may help us to tackle, इस तरह to tackle one of the world's roughest sea, जो वर्ल्ड का रफेस्ट सी है, इसको हम कैसे हैंडल करें, कैसे वहाँ चलें, उनका हेल्प हमने ले लिया. The Southern Indian Ocean. These are the Southern Indian Ocean. So on our second day of the Cape Town, जो Cape Town में हमारा दूसरा दिन था, right, says this is page 14. हाँ, on our second day of page 14, on our second day out of Captain Town, we began to encounter strong gales. For the next few weeks, they blew continuously. Gales did not worry me, but the size of the waves were alarming, up to 15 meters as high as our mainmast. So, writer says on our second day out of the Cape Town से हम जो बाहर निकले हम, तो दूसरा जो दिन था, सेकंड डे, दूसरा दिन था, we began to encounter strong waves. So our encounter starts with the gales. That means we faced strong winds. Gales means strong winds. For the next few weeks they blew continuously. कुछ ये जो हफ्ते हैं, नेक्स्ट फ्यू वीक्स जो हैं, these waves blew continuously. These gales did not worry me. Right says कि यहाँ पे जो ये gales हैं, इन्होंने मुझे तंग नहीं किया. बट क्या हुआ, ये did not worry me, but the size of waves were alarming. लेकिन जो waves का size था, that was alarming, that was fearful. The size of these waves were these. I do not care for the continuous blew of these gales, but I fear about the size of the waves, which was fearful, which was alarming. Up to 15 waves, up to 15 meters. ये जो waves जो waves थे, उनकी जो height थी, it was 15 meters, as high as our main mast, जो हमारा टावर था, पोस्ट था, as high as our main mast, जो हमारा टावर था, यानी टॉप पोल जो था हमारे इसका, तो उसी के साथ लहरें टकराती थी. So let me repeat the second para again. The first, हाँ, यहाँ से the first leg of our planet 3 year. इसमें कुछ वर्ड्स हैं. फॉर एग्जांपल एक वर्ड है gales, इट मीन्स a strong wind. और इसमें एक वर्ड है, that is mast means a tall upright structure on a boat or ship. Here actually writer says the initial phase of 3-year long journey of 1,500 kilometers passed pleasantly, right? The initial phase of 3-year long journey of 1,500 kilometers passed pleasantly. They sailed down the west coast of America to Cape Town. The narrator hired 2 crewmen before heading towards the east to tackle the roughest sea, the Southern Indian Ocean. Their names were Larry Vigil an American, and Herb Chisler, a Swiss. And at agencies thus on the second day in Cape Town, they encountered a strong wind which continued for several weeks. A strong wind was not a problem, right? Here it says the strong wind was not a problem, but 15 meters high waves, which were the height of the most worried the narrator, right? So now on December, it is page 14 again. December 25 found us 3 3,500 kilometers east of Cape Town. Despite atrocious weather, we had a wonderful holiday complete with a Christmas tree. New Year's Day saw no improvement in the weather, but we uh, reasoned that it had to change soon, and it did change for the worse. December Puchisco found us 3,500 kilometers east of Cape Town. ईस्ट ऑफ केप टाउन की तरफ से हम 3,500 किलोमीटर्स में थे. हमने सफ़र किया था 3,500 किलोमीटर्स. यानी दिसंबर 25 को फाउंड एस टू 3,500 किलोमीटर्स ईस्ट ऑफ केप टाउन. केप टाउन से 3500 किलोमीटर हम दूरी पे थे. डिस्पाइट एट्रोशीज डिस्पाइट द बैड वेदर वी हैड a atrocious weather means bad weather. We had a wonderful holiday. We had a wonderful holiday complete with a Christmas tree. हमने बहुत ही एक अच्छा क्रिसमस जो त्यौहार था उसको मनाया. न्यू ईयर्स डे सा नो इम्प्रूवमेंट. न्यू ईयर्स ये नया दिन था साल का, तो बट देयर वाज नो इम्प्रूवमेंट इन द वेदर, बट वी reasoned that it had to change soon, and it did change for the worse. Change हो गया, but it was the worst change. At dawn on January 2, the waves were gigantic. The waves were gigantic. The waves were very huge. They were very large. यानी सुबह की थी, जनवरी सुबह जो 2 तारीख थी, वहाँ पे हमने स्टार्ट किया फिर. But the waves were gigantic. They were large. They were huge. We were sailing with a small storm. हम We were sailing with a small storm jib and were still making 8 knots. So we were making 8 knots means it is actually the sea miles. We were making 8 sea miles. We were sailing with a small storm. बड़े ही अच्छे अंदाज में हम चल रहे थे. स्मॉल शिप के हिसाब से हम जो रफ्तार होती उसी हिसाब से चल रहे थे. एंड वी वर स्टिल मेकिंग 8 knobs. As the ship rose to the top of each wave, we could see endless enormous seas rolling towards and streaming. The wind and spraying was painful to the ears. To slow the boat down, we dropped the storm jib and lashed a heavy mooring rope in a loop across the stern. Then we double lashed everything, went through our life raft drill, attached lifeless, downed oil skins and life jackets and waited. Dear students, here are some words. Here are some words. December 25 found us 300 kilometers east of Cape Town. Despite atrocious weather, so writer says, let me explain this. On December 25, they had traveled 3,500 kilometers. 3,500 kilometers east of Cape Town. They celebrated Christmas together despite the bad weather. The weather remained the same till New Year's Day, but they hoped for it to change soon. But they hoped, but they hoped, but they hoped for it to change soon. The weather conditions worsened on the early morning of January. The waves were very huge. At the dawn on January, the waves were very gigantic. They were very huge. They were sailing with a small storm jib at a speed of 8 knots. At a speed 8 knots means 8 miles of the sea. When the ship was sailing with the huge waves, they could see the huge sea in front of them. The noise of the waves and the strong winds was painful for the ears. Right? What I can say is they dropped the storm jib to slow down the ship and hit a heavy mooring rope. That means a rope, mooring rope. Mooring rope means rope with this boat that fastens that with the boat is fastened with a fixed object. Mooring rope means rope with which a boat is fastened with a fixed object across the backbone of the ship in a loop. They lashed everything with a double force. They put on their oil skins, right? That says that they put on their oil skins and life jackets attached lifelines and went through the life rope drills and waited. Thank you very much. This was about the today's lesson. होप आपने अंडरस्टैंड की होगी. आपका बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया.